Hello, welcome to another session of Management Principles and Applications. And today we are going to do miscellaneous topics which come under the management challenges in the 21st century. The first one here is holistic purpose and measures of firm's performance. Every business organization is concerned with achievement of its objectives. So, you can only manage what you can measure according to Peter F. Drucker. So, in order to understand whether the organization is doing well and is on the right path, it must measure the firm's performance. The firm's performance can be measured at the strategic level, like long term results, capabilities, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, etc., and at the operational level, like financial results, employee periodic reports, and customers' added value. So, traditionally, the measures of firm's performance were basically financial performances and profitability of the firm, which was like more directed towards providing a satisfactory return on the investment to the shareholders and the top management. Now, but it is well recognized that the organization is responsible to other stakeholders as well, like customers, employees, suppliers, government, society, environment, and public at large, etc. So, therefore, there is a need to develop more holistic measures of performance. Holistic approach has to be a top-down approach which balances the strategy level business performance with the operational one. It must measure whether the firm meets the objectives set for all shareholders. And also, it should focus on sustainability and triple bottom line like people, planet, and profits. So, the firm must be ethical in its dealing with all its stakeholders. Why the development of holistic measures was required? Because we need new measurement systems that capture the things that really create value. Why the traditional measurement of finance and return on income were not sufficient? They were very lopsided. They were overweight with the achievement of certain outcomes like short-term earnings and underweighing the new growth platforms. They took sufficient account of critical externalities like environmental and social cost of corporate policies. So they give inadequate attention to the things that drive success in the creative economy. Organizations would need to create holistic measurement systems that capture the many interrelated variables that drive the. Over time, many new approaches or measures of firms' performance have been come into picture by the researchers. Two of them are balanced scorecard approach and holistic scorecard approach. Balanced scorecard approach we have already covered, which was given by Kaplan and Norton. And this approach focuses on financial as well as non-financial parameters and balance short and long-term objectives and external and internal performance perspectives of an organization. There were four measurement parameters like we've discussed already: financial, customer, internal business processes, and learning and innovation. All these four were in the balance scorecard. Now we come to the holistic scorecard. Literally, performance measurement is the process of quantifying past action. In particular, the importance of performance measurement seems to be greatly enhanced in the presence of increasing competition. Although many organizations, consultants, and academics have felt dissatisfaction with existing performance measurement systems because of overemphasis on financial measures and lack of attention, particularly on the gap between strategy expressed in the activities planned and the strategies expressed in the pattern of actions actually undertaken. There were no serious efforts to develop more robust performance measurement systems until the beginning of 1990s. Then, in order to overcome these two interrelated problems, some authors introduced new performance measurement systems into the literature, such as dynamic multidimensional performance model, holistic scorecard model, and systematic scorecard model. In addition, some writers were in the favor of bringing some rooted performance measurement systems back to the agenda, such as French Tabelier de Bord and Espetin and Manzoni had referred to. So, the intensive criticism of traditional performance measurement systems, which are overwhelmingly concerned or constructed on financial measures, and claims regarding benefits of non financial measures usage, seem to be the hallmarks of these new generation performance measurement systems. Now, holistic scorecard approach is a conceptual theoretical framework called holistic scorecard for managing performance in the software industry. At the crux of the scorecard are six perspectives that portray a ubiquitous approach for strategic performance management. These six perspectives, as well as critical success factors and key performance indicators, are relevant, especially from the software industry viewpoint. The holistic scorecard approach was proposed by Suresh Chandran Leistein in 2005 for the software industry only. So, this approach builds upon the framework of balanced scorecard by adding more parameters to the same. The holistic scorecard identifies six parameters for the performance measurement. They include financial, customer, business process, intellectual capital, and social perspectives. These are measured over 16 critical success factors, which we would just see in the next diagram. Holistic scorecard was developed particularly for a software industry which has a dynamic environment and considers additional dimensions such as social perspective constituting the social and political image of organization, which is not a part of a balanced scorecard. So this is so there are key performance measures, and there are these six tenets: customer, business process, social, intellectual capital, employee, and financial, which we'll be seeing or observing in the holistic scorecard. Then there are 16 critical factors which we are seeing here, like value creation, recruitment, training, corporate culture, employee satisfaction, organizational capital, human capital, political image, social image, knowledge measurement process, risk management process, regular business process, return on relationships, customer acquisition, customer satisfaction. So these are the 16 critical factors, and then there are key performance measures which are in the last circle. So this is the holistic scorecard approach which was given by Suresh Chandra and Leistein. So our next topic is reshaping and redefining contemporary management. As we know, the world around us is changing at a very, very fast pace. So, the business environment at all levels, be it micro level or the macro level, it is going undergoing a change. So, employees' aspirations and customer expectations are evolving. These changes in turn requires the managers to re-examine the existing principles and theories of management. Also, the management needs to be dynamic and explore new practices and rethink the solutions to all the upcoming problems. This requires an understanding of the factors which are going to reshape the management purpose. So, because the world it has become a very small space due to globalization, and there has been increase in movement of people and goods across geographical boundaries. Various technological developments have so much added to the perspective of business and emergence of global cultures. There is an ease in access to information that has led to more awareness about the businesses, the products, the quality of goods available across the world, and the services. So, innovation and creativity are required to meet customer expectations. Not only the customers, but the employees' aspirations have also changed. The recent frauds and scandals have highlighted the importance of ethical practices also in the business. So, all these factors are reshaping the management purpose. What are those factors which are reshaping and redefining contemporary management? So, the first is digitalization and automation of work process, then globalization, then uncertainties, and which are because of the workforce diversity, also the ethical issues, and then the environmental. The changing and the dynamic economies characterized with changing technologies have led to the automation and digitalization of the processes and working of an organization. Digitalization and technology influence the organization and management of people. Technology is changing very fast, and a new technology is being developed to meet new problems. One of the significant technological changes likely to influence future management includes technological forecasting and automation of processes, and that is going to change the role played by workers and managers. The volatile technology may increase the need for skilled professionals to discern new scientific developments quickly and to convert them into useful tools of management. Improved communication systems are opening opportunities of networking globally as well as work from home. Improvements in technology also find applications in quantitative research. Digitalization is changing the business model and enables the business to use digital tools to meet customer requirements. E commerce and mobile commerce are growing at a fast pace. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, cloud computing, Internet of Things are other areas which may change the face of the business and decision making of the business. All these rapid technological changes will increase the investment, size of organizations, gestation periods, and use of formal decisions and control systems. Now, the new technology requires a systematic and integrated approach to the job of managing. Then the managers need to deal with this changing environment and uncertainties of the national and global economy. It is challenging task to adapt to the newer methods of contemporary management. To be successful, the manager need to be creative and innovative in their approaches to achieve their objectives. Then the manager is required to deliver quality based customer ethical service to the customers based on trust, which is necessary for the survival and success of the organizations. So the business scene has been hit by a number of scams and frauds, as we have already discussed. The Satyam scam or Punjab National Bank scam or Nirav Modi or Mehul Choksi, they shook the investor confidence. Only a focus on incorporating values and ethical practices can revive the investor confidence. A business may be able to deceive the stakeholders, but only in short run. But when the scam is discovered, it adversely affects the company as well as the various stakeholders. The company loses its reputation and business, the share price fall, the fate of employees are also become uncertain. So the unethical behavior and a lack of corporate social responsibility may damage a firm's reputation and make it less appealing to the stakeholders. The decision to behave ethically is not very easy, as it involves rejecting the route that would lead to the biggest short term profits. But the long run ethical practices are more profitable. The management must have a clear code of ethics which should be communicated to all the employees. The top management must lead by examples. The business must be ethical in its dealings with all stakeholders. Only then it would be able to serve in the long run. Our next topic is workforce diversity and its management. What is diversity? According to Griffin and Hirsch, recognizing, understanding, accepting, appreciating, and enjoying people's differences like age, education, ethnicity, gender, physical, and mental disabilities, race, sexual orientation, and spiritual practice is what is diversity. Workforce diversity refers to employing heterogeneous workforce with differences in various characteristics and factors, like I just told you: age, education, gender, religiousness, geographical regions, and so many other attributes. Right? So, diversity poses challenges for managers. An organization must manage this diversity to be productive. So, workforce diversity, it is managing workforce diversity implies creating an organizational climate in which a heterogeneous workforce performs to its best potential without the organization favoring or disfavoring any particular segment of workforce with a view to facilitating the best attainment of organizational goals. What are the features? Workforce diversity management requires creation of an organizational climate in which people from different cultural, social backgrounds and being diverse in many other respects can coexist and work with full cooperation of one another. Workforce diversity management aims at making people work to the best of their potential. Workforce diversity management rules out any discrimination among people in any respect whatsoever. Workforce diversity management is expected to work towards the best attainment of organizational goals. What are the dimensions? Like I told you, age, people belonging to different age groups cause diversity in workforce. Young people may be enriched with health, merit, capacity for hard work, etc., while elderly people may possess more maturity and experience than their junior counterparts and are full of experiences in life. Then, gender. Male workers are usually aggressive, bold, materialistic, while female workers possess sympathy for others and are more concerned with quality of life. What is important to observe is that people of both sexes have material differences in outlook, nature, habits, etc., as differences between males and females are the design of God who created mankind. Then, education. In an organization, people may range from less educated to highly educated. Educated people may have broad outlook and are open-minded. They are endowed with logic and rationality and usually dislike discrimination among individuals on petty grounds of caste, color, and region, etc. Then culture. Culture is a complex of race, religion, language, social traditions, and values. People from different cultural backgrounds may have ethnic orientations, that is, a sense of favoritism towards their nation, race, or tribe which they belong to. Then psychology is the kind of mind that one has that makes one think or behaves in a particular way. In an organization, there are people with different psychology. Some may be optimistic or pessimistic, some may be bold or timid, or so on. Psychology may be gift of nature or a manifestation of family background or any social affiliation. Then, ability to deal with diverse market. Culturally diverse workforce can better appreciate the needs, feelings, and attitudes of culturally diverse consumers. Thus, workforce diversity increases the competence of a corporation to deal with a market that consists of diverse consumer groups in respect of age, sex, culture, etc. Then, better decision making. People from heterogeneous backgrounds may aid management in better decision making by offering suggestions from a wide range of perspectives and orientations. In fact, heterogeneous group of people may be more creative and innovative when they pool their knowledge and experiences and agree on a common solution to tricky problem which might aid management in making excellent decisions for the organization. The other significance of workforce diversity management can be better human relations. Workforce diversity management aims at developing and nurturing a common organizational culture and climate which enable people from diverse culture and backgrounds to coexist peacefully. Such a common organizational culture and climate leads to a better human relations in the enterprise and produces all-round organizational and managerial efficiency. Then, preventing unnecessary labor turnover. When in an organization there is a good workforce diversity management, women and other dissatisfied people are prevented from leaving the organization. In case otherwise, when there is large labor turnover because of poor workforce diversity management, investment made in manpower may go waste with other bad consequences for the organization. In fact, employees leave the organization where they do not feel comfortable and duly cared for by the management. Then the next is building of goodwill of the enterprise. Companies with excellent workforce diversity management build goodwill in the society. As such, talented people of society with diverse backgrounds and culture get attracted towards it for seeking suitable employment. Such companies never have a problem of the scarcity of skilled, educated, and talented human capital. Now, the techniques of workforce diversity management. The first is creating awareness. You can only deal with something if you're aware of it. So, management must create awareness in the organization that differences among people so as to age, sex, education, culture, etc. exist in the workforce, and so that people may try to understand one another in a more rational and friendly manner. Then, creating conditions for common organizational culture. Organization must develop cross-cultural training programs, creating conditions for development of common organizational culture and climate. Such common culture will create an environment in which a diversified workforce can coexist comfortably, peacefully, and happily. Then programs of special care for diversified workforce. So management may design programs of special care like care for elderly people, special work schedule to provide convenience to female workers, or opening up of the creches for them. Then career development programs. There must be programs for identifying each individual's strengths, weakness, and potential for career development so that the organization can capitalize on the peculiar features of diversified workforce. In fact, people should be valued for their differences and variety. Then, avoiding discriminations. A very significant technique for excellent workforce diversity management is to avoid any sort of discrimination among people on the basis of age, culture, and especially sex. In the most developed countries, the USA, the Glass Ceiling Commission states that between 95 and 97% of senior managers in the country's biggest corporations are men. Now, the glass ceiling describes the process by which women are barred from promotion by means of an invisible barrier. Then, prevention of sexual harassment. With the entry of large number of women in organizations, the phenomena of sexual harassment is usually witnessed, which management must prevent by all means and at all costs. Sexual harassment includes a range of actions like unwelcome touching, joking, teasing, innuendos like indirect bad or rude remarks, or even the remarks of showing your affection, slurs, and the display of sexually explicit materials. All these come under sexual harassment. Thank you so much.